Hello guys, my name is Temidayo. So in this tutorial, I'm going to be putting you through on how you can achieve something like this. So I'm going to be explaining to you how I end up doing this motion logo, and if you need the model as for you to look into it, you can check the description below as for you to download yours. So without wasting time, let's quickly move right into it as for us to know how this was done. So now this is my environment. As you can see, this is my environment. It's just a little thing in between a big environment. So now I'm going to start by explaining this to you. Now, as for me to make use of this, to make this rather, I first of all create uh, after this model I create an empty. So this is my empty. So I make sure I parent everything, all this model, I parent it to this empty. So when I move this empty all around, you can see that they are moving except for this and the balls here. So I make sure that I parent everything, all this in middle to this empty. So, and I believe, okay, I wanted to say, I believe you know how to parent that. So, for you to parent that, you just have to click the model first, then click the empty next, then you can press your Control P. Then it's going to ask you to set parents to object. So, I set the parents to object. So, I make sure I parent everything to this empty. And why am I doing that? That's because in the process I will need to work on these ones individually. Now as you can see, I can move this one around individually, move this all around individually. Also down here, I make sure that these ones are being done individually too. This one except for this that I make it just everything to be together. So don't forget about the parenting, because whatever you are going to be animating, most times in Blender, even in other software, first thing you need to do, you need to arrange your parenting properly. You need to parent the necessary things. So you realize that when I move this all around now, they are all moving. Then also I can move them individually as for me to work on them. So now, why do I have to parent that? So that you realize when you check the if you check the motion properly, you realize that this is rotating. So that means when I rotate this R along Z, you can see when I rotate this, everything will be rotating together. So that was how I achieved the part of it being rotating. Then also for me to get a proper way of rotating, maybe rotating in another direction. So when I come down here to my graph editor, I come down here to my graph editor, we can see. So now I rotated in three different directions. So I rotate in X, in the Y, and in the Z. So because if I'm just rotating in the Z this way, it won't be that cool. So after rotating in the Z, I also added other rotations to it. So like adding rotation in the Y also, just for it to tilt. So but for you to make those kind of rotation, you can easily do them here. Here you can see as I'm adjusting this, see the way it's rotating. So and as the moment I'm able to rotate to the point that I need, I will set a key on that point. So let's look at this part too. Okay, let me move from this place. Okay, yeah, obviously this now. Now as I'm trying to move this, so I rotated this not just in one axis, I mean in one direction. So I make sure I rotated them in three different directions as for it to give me a proper way of rotating. So also the next thing that I did was this sports, you see this sports splash, and how was I able to arrive at this? When I click tab, okay, I've converted this. Now I make use of text, you understand? Then when I make use of text, then I'll make sure that I convert those text from just ordinary text to, I think the conversion should be here. You see, I convert them from text to curve from text mesh. You see, so I need to convert them. So after the conversion, then I make use of array with curve. Okay, just I have applied the constraint. So I make use of array with curve. Though if you need me to explain deep down to that, you can drop a comment, then I can go deep into that. So I make use of array and curve, so to be able to achieve this. So making use of those constraints, I was able to get to this point. So another thing I'm going to be explaining again is these circles outside. Now when you look at these circles, the same thing applicable. Only the only thing I did was that I rotated in the y direction, obviously. So but the most important thing is that the axis of rotation should be in the center, as for it not to cause any problem. So the axis of rotation is in the middle here. So they all have the same axis of rotation. That's another important clue here. Make sure all your whatever you are going to be modeling, if it involves rotation, make sure that the axis of rotation is in the center, or it depends on what you are doing though. So I make sure that the axis of rotation is in the center, then I rotate along the y, obviously this. So when I rotate along the y, it's just like I first of all, I had to, okay, this way, let's say this is where it is initially. Then on y, I'll set a key by pressing I. When I press I, I'm setting a key. Then I have to move further, then I'm going to rotate it along that, then I will again set a key. Then when I move between those keys, then I will move between those keys, then you're going to see it rotating this way. Now another thing, these ones that are moving on, and what I did was just also, you realize it's rotating along this axis also. It's rotating along this axis. Now for you to do that, so I, after making sure that the axis of rotation is in the center here, then I have to just apply rotation along y. No, I mean rotation, let's see, okay, that's because I've added is already on constraint. That's why he's doing like that. So for me to be able to achieve that, I make sure that the axis of rotation is at the center, just as I've said already before. So the moment I apply the rotation, then I was able to set keys on those things. So now when you look at this again, this is another, you as you're looking at it, you realize the text, see the way they are coming in. See the way they are coming in. Look at the text. You see the way they are coming in one by one. See the way they are coming in one by one. Now for me to be able to achieve that, you remember I told you I've parented everything to this. So that means no matter where I'm able to remove these two, it's still going to be returning back to the way it is before. So now, well, let's look at this x. This is a different thing. Then the first thing that I did was that I make sure that I set up everything, make it complete this way. Let me bring it back to, okay. The first thing that I did was that just like a graphics work, that you need to first of all create everything you need to do first, create everything down. Then one by one you start to make add motions to them. Then one thing that is very important is that you mustn't forget the initial position. So that was what I did. The initial position is there. Then I'll first of all set the key. Like let's say for example, this is my location. What I make use of was just location. Let's say this, I'll first of all set key on all the locations and pressing I. Then I can now move within some frames. Then move this, position this away from this current position, away from where it is now. Then the moment I play back, then it's going to be returning back to where it is. So as for it not to be just returning, I need to add some scaling to it. If you notice the X properly, you realize that it's scaling in, scaling out. Obviously that. So also the same thing applicable to this X. The initial arrangement was this is where they were before. Then I make sure I apply the initial position by first of all setting on a key on their initial position. Then I can now move a little frame away. Then I start to like this for us now. I need to move it away from the initial position, then set key for each of them. I don't know if you are getting me. So I'm trying my best to explain as for you to understand it properly. So that's that. So now another thing that's very important again, when you look at these balls, let's look at this ball, you realize they are moving along this part of this ring. Now how was I able to achieve that? Then by making use of constraint. See, I make use of follow path constraint. For you to apply this constraint, you just have to first of all make sure that the whatever you want to apply it on is on the center of the circle you are going to be applying it on. Hope you understand. It's going to be on the axis, the center of the circle. So I make sure that the ball, I first of all model it to be at the circle here, at the center here rather. Then after applying my constraint to it, then I pick the correct part, then which is the negative, then automatically it's going to locate the ring. Now it's not actually the ring that I make use of. Realize this is called follow path. Actually I need to first of all create, like for example, create a circle, a line circle this way for to be the path. Then I convert the path, this is just like it's a mesh now, so I convert the path to curve. I need to first of all convert the line to curve. So I converted it from convert to curve. So that's when we're able to see, target, which target. So that's the name of the circle there. So that was how I achieved that. So another thing I think I need to explain. Okay, also, even after applying that, after applying the parts of a thing, I still need uh I still need to do a sort of animate. You need to animate the part. So the moment that you press the animate the part button, then you should be able to move around, also set up some other things too. So I don't know if you are getting me. So that's how that was achieved. So also again, let's talk about the glowing effect of this. Now look at this. Initially I wanted to just apply emission and just leave that. I realized emission is not that working. Then what did I do? I added some few nodes. Obviously this. Okay, let's look at this. So I added emission, bright, constant, hue, saturation, then black body. So without those ones, I was able to achieve this brightness. So but I make sure that I didn't bright it too much as for it not to cover the whole scene. So after this, just apply. Yes, something is missing from there. Okay, I applied the same thing. So I just adjust down to bring it down. Most especially, I wanted, after getting the brightness, I need to get a specific color. So that was why I added this hue and saturation. You can see I was able to change the color all around. Let me see that. So I can decide to make use of this color or any other colors that I might need. So that was how I was able to make this. So I don't know if this helps you to understand anything. So please, I will be grateful if you can press the subscribe and like button. So thank you very much for listening.